Hi, Sports Debate. Welcome back to another video, and it is officially draft week. Not really, but today's Friday. The day we're filming is Friday. The NFL draft starts next Thursday. So T-minus 7 days, and we're all very excited. And we wanted to come with you a 12-pick, the top of the first round mock draft. And we wanted to see where we differ, where we contrast, where we're similar, because there are some picks that are pretty much written in. And so first, we're going to start with Rohit and the Jaguars pick. I think pretty much everyone can guess where we're going with this one. But Rohit?
Pretty easy, everyone except for Dash has Trevor Lawrence as this generational prospect, one of the best prospects of all time. So pretty easy, we're going Trevor Lawrence.
Yep.
And I'm not sure if Dash prefaced this, but this is more predictive instead of like what we would do. So we're trying to be as accurate as possible.
Yes. So Shivam also has Trevor Lawrence, and
Yep.
if it wasn't predictive, well, you can watch my QB rankings coming out next week to figure out where I'd go. But Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence, pretty much written in blood at this point. Secondly, to the New York Jets, Shivam.
I got Zach Wilson going to the New York Jets.
Same
Rohit?
as Shivam. Yeah, I also have Zach Wilson. Pretty consensus.
Yeah, Zach Wilson at BYU. He's a very fun person to watch. I enjoy him a lot. And there are some...
He's got a little Aaron Rodgers in him.
Yeah. And there are a lot of questions about his competition, but with Robert Saleh and that organization they're building in New York, hopefully this isn't Darnold 2.0 or essentially any Jets quarterback 2.0 besides Joe Namath. But
I mean, this is a side note, but I think it'll be better because you don't have Adam Gase. So
yeah, that's fair.
Adam Gase, the quarterback guru.
I was researching, and Safari still has Adam Gase as the head coach. It's pretty funny. So number 3, this is where people start to differ. There's some controversy. So Rohit, you want to take this one away?
Yeah, so as this is predictive, I've been hearing reports about how the 49ers are set between Mac Jones and Trey Lance. And if that's the case, I think Trey Lance is a better prospect than Mac Jones. And, he has a higher ceiling, which I think Shanahan can coach up. So I have Trey Lance going 3.
I differed from Rohit here. I ultimately went with Justin Fields going 3. I didn't hear the reports about them being settled between Trey Lance and Mac Jones, but I just feel like right now it's between those 3 quarterbacks, and I feel like Justin Fields is the best out of those 3 and would fit best with the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, I also think Justin Fields is going through 3rd. I feel like Kyle Shanahan is not stupid. I don't think he'll trade up for Mac Jones, which many people think, oh, this is what's going to happen. I don't think so. I think if you hold a 12th overall pick and you're aiming for Mac Jones, you don't trade that far up, because there were reports before the 49ers moved up that that Mac Jones would fall to them at 12, fall to the Patriots at 15, fall to the Washington football team at 19. And just Justin Fields is the superior talent and arguably the best talent in this draft. And Kyle Shanahan isn't stupid. And Justin Fields is going to become very scary if he goes to San Francisco. Yes. And then number 4, the Atlanta Falcons. Some people say offensive weapon. Some people say offensive line. Some people say quarterback. So I went offensive weapon. Many people's number 1 overall player, give or take Trevor Lawrence, and Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts out of Florida, the tight end, wide receiver hybrid. He's not really a tight end anymore. He's just a OW, an offensive weapon. That's what he is. And Rohit and Shivam, just imagine that receiving core in Atlanta with Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, Kyle Pitts, Hayden Hurst. I mean,
And you
like
can't
Matt
forget about
Ryan's-
Todd Gurley in the backfield too.
yeah, I mean,
Todd Gurley's a free agent, but yeah.
yeah.
Oh, he is.
Like
I think it did.
Matt Ryan's getting older. They pay, it's a lot of money, but that would be very scary for their division. Oh, I
Yeah.
can't imagine. But Rohit, what do you have going?
Me and Shivam both have Kyle Pitts. That's
Yep.
pretty much
Agreed.
everything you listed.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And then number 5 is the Cincinnati Bengals. There's really just two groups of people. They're the people who are protect Joe Burrow because of the injuries he's faced in his young career. And then there are also the people who want to reestablish that chemistry with his LSU wide receiver, marrChase. So, Shivam, which one are you in?
So, as Rowan mentioned earlier in the video, this is a predictive video. So what we think is going to happen, and Joe Burrow has been pushing for the Bengals to take marrChase, which, as Dash mentioned, was his LSU teammate, and they were a great duo there. So I have the Cincinnati Bengals granting Joe Burrow's request and taking marrChase with the 6th overall pick.
Rohit?
Yeah, I'm in the protect Joe Burrow camp. I'm all for. You don't need to protect Joe Burrow if you can just throw it away, like throw it to marrChase before he even gets sacked. But the Bengals just posted a photo about with Joe Burrow and his like disgusting scar from his ACL tear. I think if they're being smart, I think they have to take a tackle, and I think Sewell is the best tackle, so I think they're going to go Sewell.
I disagree wholeheartedly, actually. I think, yes, there's protect Joe Burrow, but if you look at it, the interior of the offensive line is really what struggles for the Cincinnati Bengals. And as you mentioned, Sewell is an offensive tackle, not an interior offensive lineman. And I'm all for continuity. Especially now with COVID, because there are certain workouts people might not be able to make and all that fun stuff. And Joe Burrow is not going to be able to practice extensively in the offseason. And so being able to have that security blanket, and not just a security blanket, arguably the best wide receiver in college football history, like single season, you just can't go wrong. And I think marrChase is that pick. But so number 6 is the Detroit Lions. They just traded for Jared Goff, traded away Matthew Stafford.
Miami Dolphins.
Oh, I got ahead of myself. Miami Dolphins are the 6th pick, and they traded from 3 to 12 and then 12 back up to 6 for God knows what. But Rohit, what's your best stab? What do they trade up for? Or if this was the way that the draft worked, how would they pick?
I mean, as they had Sewell. I had Sewell going 5 to the Bengals. I think you take marrChase. I mean, he's, like you said, he's one of the best wide receiver prospects of all time. I think you want to support Tua as much as possible. You want to get Tua all the help you can, and there's no better way to do that than taking marrChase.
Shivam?
So yeah, the way I mocked the first 5, I got Sewell going to the Miami Dolphins at 6, and once again, Tua, you want to protect him, young quarterback, and you take the best offensive tackle prospect in this draft.
I'm gonna go different than both of you. I'm gonna go with Jalen Waddle. And on my board, Sewell is still around, but I'm gonna go back to that whole continuity thing, and I want to pair Tua with his former college teammate. And I know they got Will Fuller, but Jalen Waddle has the capabilities to greatly enhance Tua's game. And as many of you are aware, Tua didn't live up to that 5th overall billing in his first season, his rookie season. And I think Miami just needs to prioritize giving him the weapons to put him in the best case scenario possible. Any thoughts or about that, or about the first 6 for that matter?
I mean, it's pretty similar. We all had the same thing except for... I mean, it was kind of the same mindset. Like, for example, the Bengals was help Joe Burrow, whether it was protecting him or giving him a weapon. And then same thing for Tua. It was like help Tua, whether you think it was offensive line or weapons.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 7, the Detroit Lions. They traded away Matthew Stafford. They got Jared Goff in return. Jared Goff is probably not the future of that franchise. Yeah. There are still some quarterbacks on the board. But where did you guys go? Did you give him a quarterback? Anything else? What positions? Etc.
So I went for the Detroit Lions. I went Jalen Waddle. Some people even have him as wide receiver 1 in this class. He's a stud. And, you always see the Tyreek Hill comparison being thrown around to, like, fast wide receivers. But I think this can actually be accurate because he's a really good route runner. He has great ball skills, just like a Tyreek Hill. So, you got to give Jared Goff a chance. And so give him a Jalen Waddle, especially since they lost a bunch of weapons in free agency.
Yeah, I took Jalen Waddle for the exact same reason. They lost Kenny Golladay to my New York Giants, which is awesome. And, they need a weapon to fill, so Jalen Waddle is what I went with for the Lions.
And I am finally getting an offensive tackle off the board in Sewell. I think that, Waddle and Chase already went. And I think you could look at you could look at quarterback, but I think you go best player available. And Penei Sewell is arguably one of the best offensive tackle prospects to come out in years. And he can anchor the left side of your offensive line for a very long time. So that's why I went Penei Sewell. But anyone have any thoughts about that? Any criticisms or anything?
No, I think it's a good pick.
Yeah, makes
it
sense.
Goes back to the whole thing, like giving Jared Goff a chance and like helping him. So.
Okay. So number 8, Carolina Panthers. They just traded for Sam Darnold. There is some hesitancy there whether they think Sam Darnold is the future of this franchise in Carolina, or maybe they draft a quarterback. The general manager, I believe, said they are looking at all possible options. So there is that possibility. But I did not have them taking a quarterback. I actually had back-to-back offensive tackles in Rashawn Slater out of Northwestern. Some people have him above Penei Sewell. Some people say, just as people do in the month leading up to the draft, oh, he'll be better in guard. I don't think so. I think maybe he will be, but try him out at tackle. And I think that would greatly enhance arguably one of the most talented players in football in Christian McCaffrey. Thoughts?
Yeah, I have to agree with you. Before they traded for Sam Darnold, I thought this was going to be quarterback, but after they made that trade, I thought it was pretty obvious, at least to me, that they would not take a quarterback in this spot. And they already have some solid weapons, some solid wide receivers, so I ultimately went with Rashawn Slater as well.
Same for me. Rashawn Slater's the pick. There's a lot of people say that he's even, Penei Sewell has a higher ceiling, but Rashawn Slater's better day one. So you can go either or between them. And like when Northwestern played Ohio State 2 years ago, Rashawn Slater shut down Chase Young, so he's a really good player.
Yes. It's bittersweet because he's my ideal Giants first-round pick. But moving on to Rohit's team, the Denver Broncos. I have them picking a long snapper. But, okay. I see the next quarterback falling here in Trey Lance so that he can learn behind the veteran, experienced GOAT in Drew Lock.
Okay.
And I think that he could be a very good prospect. He has very high ceiling, but very low floor. Or not very low floor, but there's some questions there. Yes, very raw. But you know what they say? If you have the opportunity to sit behind a lock, you are a lock.
Okay, I've never heard that phrase. But I went, I had Trey Lance going 3, so, I have my dream guy here. I have Justin Fields. Hopefully he falls. Hopefully we can trade for him or something. But I want, Justin Fields is... I don't really understand how he fell off so hard in so many people's eyes. Like, last year, or before this year, it was like Trevor Lawrence 1A, Justin Fields 1B. Like, you can't go wrong with either. And then even up until, like, the season ended, it was like Justin Fields is number 2, most likely. But, yeah, Justin Fields is my dream guy. I would be so happy if we got him.
So, yeah, I mean, I think we all agree with based on our picks. I also have a quarterback that, Drew Lock is probably not the answer. And if one of these two guys is here, Denver Broncos are most likely going to go for them. But since I already had Justin Fields going 3, I have Trey Lance. I agree with Dash to the Broncos because, well, Drew Lock, like I said, I don't think he's going to be their franchise guy.
And I just wanted to mention, I don't know if I did, that this is a no-trade mock draft. So Rohit did say maybe you trade for him, maybe you move up. There is some talk about that. But in this, you have to stick at your draft position. And so that's why you're at 9. And yeah, I mean, Rohit, your point about Justin Fields, like, I feel like there's other things at play. And I've, like, watched the games. I watched Northwestern, which is his worst game. And I also watched Indiana. But then there are also games where, like, without those 2 games, you could make the argument he's first overall. And so I think that teams, like, don't bypass Justin Fields just because they see what he can be. And then there's the whole, like, work ethic thing. And that's, like, the weirdest thing in the world because, if I remember correctly, wasn't Justin Fields the person who was campaigning for his conference to play football during the COVID pandemic?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's very
weird. He
easily
just opted out.
Exactly. If he would have opted out, you'd be here saying Justin Fields at 2, at least. Mm-hmm. But now, now there's just some questions and I don't understand them. But we're going to move on to the Cowgirls down in Dallas, Jerry World. So number 10, who do you have them going? Shivam. Or okay. Either or.
All right, I'll go. Right. So the Dallas Cowboys with Dak Prescott healthy already have a very good offense, one of the best offenses in the entire league. So I feel like they should focus on defense and most importantly just focus on their secondary. And I think they take the best cornerback in the draft in Patrick Surtain.
All right, so I have a similar thought process. I think you go corner, but I'm going to switch it up. I originally thought Patrick Surtain, but I'm going to go J.C. Horn here, who's been flying up draft boards. And the reason is J.C. Horn is a lot more athletic. Like, Patrick Surtain has very good technique and things like that, but I feel like that can be coached up. So you want to take the guy with the highest ceiling, and that's J.C. Horn.
I took Surtain, but now that I am thinking about it, J.C. Horn just feels like that kind of guy that Jerry Jones, the general manager, would fall in love with just because he has that gritty, get in your face, all cocky, all confident feel.
Like a Jalen Ramsey.
Yes, exactly. And, this is also another team you might see trade up because Jerry Jones loves Kyle Pitts, but so does every general manager in the National Football League. Mm-hmm. So there is some, you do you, Jerry. But, okay, number 11, the best team in the NFL.
Super Bowl champions this year.
Yes, sir. So, Rohit, as the non-Giants fan, take it away.
This was tough. I struggled with this one because Giants, I feel like all the top guys are gone by this point. So, Giants, I considered Surtain. I really hope they take Greg.
No.
seems like a Dave Gettleman guy, but I went with Micah Parsons, who's, one of the best defensive, if not the best defensive player in this class. I know there's some off the field issues, which honestly concern me, but I think he'll be a good fit. He's very versatile.
So for here, I had Smith and Parsons left on my draft board, and I mean, it would be so like I remember Bleacher Report put out a post on Instagram with like if the Giants took Smith, and that offense looks super super nice, and I wanted to go Smith here, but ultimately went Parsons as well because once again this is what we think that the Giants are gonna do, and Dave Gettleman had a quote from either yesterday or a couple of days back saying that he looks for defense and he looks for defensive players that are versatile in this specific draft, and Parsons fits that exact description. So I went with him.
So
you can't go wrong with either.
So there are a lot of reports of the Giants going edge at 11. I would not want them to go edge at 11 because the only player with the talent worthy of 11 had to medically retire from his first university. And so I was watching a podcast, and it seems like the Micah Parsons off-field reports are more serious than many people say they are. And I think with the Giants' past history, they don't want to handle that because they have ignored players with off-the-field issues, and it didn't work well for them. So I have them going with 11, that Alabama connection, Devontae Smith. He's a smaller dude, but boy, is he fun to watch. And they're going to have the best receiving core in the NFL with Pro Bowl tight end Evan Ingram.
Pro Bowler.
But. And then number 12.
The dumpster fire.
The dumpster fire.
That is the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, the Philadelphia Eagles. I call them the Pigeons. Caca, caca. Okay, number 12, Shivam, go for it.
All right, so Smith is on the draft board. They got Jalen Hurts as their quarterback. Need to surround him with some weapons because Arcega-Whiteside and Jalen Reagor not cutting it. So Devontae Smith is who I go for the Philadelphia Eagles. But I do hope they take Gregory Rousseau or someone really bad. So it just makes me more happy. But Smith is who I got them going.
Yeah, I have Devontae Smith as well. I think Devontae Smith is super underrated. I do think Waddle and Chase are better, but I think the gap is closer than what people think. It's been proven time and time again that size, you can overcome it if you have the skills. You see I know this is a different position, but you see with Russell Wilson or Drew Brees and stuff like that, and Kyler Murray, of course. But Devontae Smith, he reminds me of almost like a Calvin Ridley, where they're super light, but they're the same height. They have the same skills, same route running and things like that. So I think he'll be good in the NFL.
Yeah, so Smith is not on my board anymore. And so I have the Pigeons going with, or at least looking at the division, and seeing, okay, so the Giants now have Kenny Golladay, they have Devontae Smith, the football team has Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, and then the Cowboys have the Cowboys receiving core. So I have them picking J.C. Horn, cornerback, and I think it's a pretty good pick. And for that same reason, I don't think that the Pigeons pick him. But that's just me. Now, does anyone have any questions or concerns or problems? And no, not about the names that I gave their team and or called their starting quarterback the GOAT. But
no, I think we all had relatively similar mock drafts that we went pretty standard. I feel like there wasn't any crazy surprises.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be pretty accurate.
Yeah.
But obviously there's going to be trades, so it won't be exact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Drew Lock is the best quarterback the Denver Broncos have had in a decade. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it very much. And come back. We're going to have a whole bunch of content this week. NBA and NFL. And check it out. Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
See you guys.
Goodbye.